Hey, what's up everybody? Alright, so today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. It's still going to be a ration review, but I'm going to be doing this in remembrance of my grandpa and in honor of all the veterans. First off, I want to tell you what ration items we're going to be taking a look at here. And these are all items from K-Rations. I'll get into the details of that here in just a few minutes. But before I get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about my grandpa and show you some of the things that I have of his that I'll be including in this ration review. I just think it's really cool that I'm going to get to sample some of the food that was actually made in the time period and for men just like my grandpa that fought in World War II. All the food items that I have right here were produced between 1942 and 1945 for K-Rations. So before we get on to the taste test, there are a few items that belong to my grandpa, and his name was Howard Russell Roush. And the first thing I wanted to show you right here is his bayonet. He was a rifleman for the entire span of World War II. He was shot in action. And I'll get on and I'll show you some of his medals after we take a look at his bayonet here. First, on the scabbard, hopefully that'll pick that up. It says US M8A1 BMCO, BM Company. And up here it used to have two little hooks for the belts, and they have either been cut off. I don't know if he cut them off or if he wore them off. And here's the actual bayonet, and right there you can see that it says US M4 case. And this thing still has the original edge that he put on it. It's pretty sharp down here. It's a little bit dull up here, but it also has a pretty decent edge on the back side of it right here. And if I need to open anything, I'm going to go ahead and use this bayonet during this. Fits really tight into the sheath. And there's you look at that. I don't know why he has the handle taped like this. I'm really curious as to what's underneath there and actually why he done that. It's pretty curious. But I'm not going to mess with it. I'm going to leave it just the way he had it. Real quick, I'm going to show you a picture I have here. And this is a picture I have of my grandpa. This is exactly how I remember him. And I'm going to move on and I'm going to show you some of the medals of his. And I have 3 on display in his flag display that I have here that I put together. And you can see there is his rifle medal down here. And right there's his World War II medal. And here's the box that I have of when they sent him some of his medals. And by the postmark on this, this was in May of 1991. And we'll take a look at what's in here. The boxes to the medals that I have in the flag case are in here, so there's a couple empty boxes in here. And right here is a quick look at the first one. I think this is one of the last ones that he received, if I'm not mistaken. This one actually had a note in it apologizing for how long it took them to get the medals to him. Which it did take him almost up until he passed away to get all of his medals. And he actually, I don't think, ever received all of his medals. Actually, I know he didn't. And this one says Germany, Army of Occupation. And I'm not going to untape them. Down here at the bottom it says 1945, and it has a ship on the back. Really cool metal. And this is exactly how he had them packaged, with a little bit of a tissue there. Next we've got one here that was for the Pacific Campaign, and I can't see what's on the back of that one. Alright, I've got one more here, and this, actually there's 2 here. And this is the Purple Heart that they gave him. And on the back it says for military merit, and it has his name. Oh, before I move on, here is his lapel pin for honorable service. Yeah, like I said, my grandpa, he was really active in the VFW and the American Legion community until the day he passed away. He always took part in the 21 gun salutes every time they needed him. I was with him a lot whenever he'd do that. He did have one heck of a World War II era gun collection too, but unfortunately that was stolen on the day of his funeral. It's just some dirty people done that. It's still disgusts me just to think about it. so I'm not going to dwell on that too much because it does make me sick. But he was one of the most patriotic and heroic men that I've ever had the chance to be around. I still remember a lot of the things that he taught me. I was very proud to have called him my grandpa. It's one of those people that when you meet him, you know that that guy really put everything he had into fighting for his country. That was one of the things that really stuck out about him, was his military service, because he was so dedicated to it. He done so much that involved it. He was very active in the veteran community. He was proud to be a veteran. He was proud of what he done in World War II. He was proud of what they accomplished. Anyways, that was a look at some of his things that I have here. I'm pretty excited to try to eat some of this super old food to remember my grandpa and the veterans. I don't know how much of this I'm going to be able to eat. I believe I'm going to be able to consume a lot of this. And I think this is probably one of the biggest groups of consumable food from K-Rations that's all been put together at one time. I would say you'd probably have to open up something like 3 K-Rations to get the amount of items that I have right here that would be edible. If you were lucky enough to find anything in a K-Ration that's still edible. You watch my buddy Steve 1989's reviews and you'll see that he tries to get some of the best examples that are out there come on the market, and you don't always get lucky with that. A lot of times the stuff will just be completely roached out on the inside. One of the things right here that I'm really interested to check out is this K-Ration coffee, Barrington Hall, and the directions for use are on the other side, but this is still airtight. This has air in it. I don't know how I can get that to come across on camera, but that is remarkable, because one little tiny pinhole and this would have been toast. It would have turned into a solid block. I have quite a few of these that are just solid blocks. They're only good for display now. But it says dissolve contents into 1/3 of a canteen cup or 8 ounces hot or cold water. Stir well. Add sugar as desired, or if desired. And like I said, this is Barrington Hall Baker Importing Company, Minneapolis, Minnesota. So that's pretty interesting. And I've sent these to Steve, and Emmy Made in Japan. She actually made a review of the one that I sent her. You guys go check that out. There's a link to her channel down in my description. Go check out her review of the coffee that I sent her. Really cool. And also sent her some of these sugar cubes right here. These are Domino, and here you can see that it says sweeten it with Domino. On the back side it says Domino Pressed Tablet, American Sugar Refining Company. And these are original to the K-Rations. They also came with these really cool little boxes of fine granulated sugar. And this is packaged by the W.H. Marvin Company, Urbana, Ohio, USA. Very cool look at the box of sugar. And these are just blank on the back. So moving on, these are the biscuits from Steve's last K-Ration review. And this is the K1 Nabisco Biscuit. And also we have the Sunshine K2 Biscuit. And you guys go check out his last K-Ration review. I'll put a link to that down in the description. And you'll see these biscuits right here from his K-Ration review. And that's also where these Chelsea cigarettes came from. It just says Chelsea Better Cigarettes, manufactured by the makers of Edgeworth, America's fine pipe tobacco. And I'm really interested to check these out. They've got some really cool, like, waxy parchment paper. And they do smell really, really nice. Yeah, we'll be checking those out. This is the lemon juice powder from his K-Ration review, which it's no good. It's actually turned black. This is also another lemon juice powder that they had back then. This one has a pinhole in it. I only had a couple of these, and all the ones that I have were solid, but this is a good look at it. It says vitamin C potency 60 milligrams. So this was a nice injection of vitamin C. Also have an orange juice sitting here that's solid as a rock. I may go ahead and open this lemon juice powder, and we'll see if it'll rehydrate. I doubt it will, but I'll give it a shot. And I have a Bouillon powder here as well, and we'll see what happens when we put this into some boiling water. I have a K-Ration stove up here. And right there you can see some lot code numbers, and it says 1943 right there. I also have this World War II era cup and the hexamine tablet go with the stove. It says fuel ration heating individual hexamine, and it has directions. It says to keep tablets dry. Stand 2 tablets on the edge, preferably on a dry surface in a trench about 3 or 4 inches deep to protect it from wind. Ignite the tablets. Place cup or canteen near one end of the trench to control the draft. Very interesting. These fit right in the K-Ration stoves, so that's what we're going to do, is use one of those and see if we can get that bouillon powder going in that cup right there. We'll take a quick look at the bouillon powder. It says to dissolve contents into 2/3 of a canteen cup or 1 pint of hot or cold water. It says manufactured and packed by the McKay Davis Company, Toledo, Ohio. Bouillon powder. Definitely check that out. Hopefully that'll still be consumable. And up here, again, from Steve's K-Ration. You guys go check that video out. Awesome video. Malted Milk, Dextrose, and Dextrose tablets. U.S. Army Field Ration K, 15 tablets. Net weight 2 ounces. Manufactured by Curtis Candy Company, Chicago, Illinois. But yeah, all the items that I have, the K-Ration items that I have. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Chocolattos. Peter Paul's Chocolattos. These also came in the K-Rations, and that's where these came from. The fellow that had these unfortunately has passed away, but I bought all the things that I have from one of his family members who said that he actually broke down cases of K-Rations whenever they started breaking down, the cans started exploding and stuff, so he salvaged what he could and stored the things in a dry place, which I thought was amazing. He had the foresight to try to store and save these things. So now, since he done that, I actually get to try these things out, which I think is fantastic. So what I'm going to do before I get started, my tray right here, and hopefully you can see that, says US SMCO 1943. And this is the tray that I use all the time. This actually belonged to the grandfather of my neighbors, and he salvaged this from a ship called the USS Cascade. You guys look that up. Sometime I want to do a special about the tray and tell you a little bit more about him, because he salvaged a few things that are ration related, and I thought that was really cool. And I have this and a set of silverware and a cup that actually belonged to him that he brought back. It's really cool. But I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff put on a tray, and we'll see what we can do about trying it out. Alright, so here we go on a look at the most consumable food from K-Rations that I've ever seen in one spot. I'm going to get to try some stuff that my grandpa actually ate back in World War II. This is going to be very interesting. I don't know how good it's going to be. that's for sure, because this is some really old food. There's no doubt about that. I want to get started with the bouillon powder. And first I want to go ahead and get my cup filled up with some water here. And I'll do that, and I'll be right back with you. I don't want to get any water on the crackers or anything, so I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I've got a little bit over 8 ounces of water right here. That was actually really hot water, previously boiling water. This bouillon powder calls for 16 ounces, or 2/3 of a canteen cup, so what I'm going to do is try to use about half of this. I'm going to take the bayonet and try to slice this open to where it can still be put on display. I knew this had gotten hard. I'll put this bouillon powder in here. You guys get a look at that. Say that's a little more than half of it, and it looks like it's actually probably going to dissolve. I'll set that off to the side for a second, and we're going to light one of these fuel tablets and get that to a nice rolling boil. And I have some pieces here, so I'm just going to use a piece for now. That may be enough. I'm just going to use my lighter to light it. Alright, I got that fuel tab lit, and I'm going to go ahead and put this on top and let it do its thing. And we'll check out some of this other stuff. Alright, so while this is heating, I want to give you a close-up so you can hear. It's definitely got a boiling sound going on, that's for sure. I think that's about to come to a rolling boil here real soon. And we'll go ahead and get the coffee and stuff made up. While I got the camera off, I'll give you a nice close look at the biscuits, where I got everything laid out here. Alright, so next thing I'm going to go ahead and get the coffee made up, which I know is going to be one of the best things here. This, and I'm really looking forward to trying those cigarettes out as well. But this is the exact same kind of canteen that they would have had back then. This one right here just happens to be dated 1953. So it's just a few years off. I'm going to go ahead and slice this coffee open from the back again and try to keep this in somewhat displayable condition. Shake it down because, like I said, this is still a very fine powder. There's still air trapped inside, which is a very, very good sign. It's very rare to find a coffee like this from back then. This is not something you see every day, that's for sure. Hopefully I can get this opened up nice and neat. It's still a very fine powder, I can already tell that. Check that out. That is amazing. That looks like cocoa powder or something. See if I can get you a good angle of this, dumping it into the canteen so we can get a good look at it. So there you go. It looks perfect. That smells really good too. And instead of 8 ounces, I'm going to put about 6 ounces in this because I'd really want to taste it and see what it tasted like. I don't want it to be too strong, so I got about 6.5 ounces here of water. Grab my spoon that was also off the USS Cascade. Give that a quick stir. I don't even think it really needed it. Well, yeah, it did. You can see it's stuck to the spoon there a little bit. Alright, next I'm going to give the lemon juice powder a try. I'm not exactly sure how well it's going to work, but try to break it up some maybe. Maybe use a little bit of hot water to start with, help it dissolve. And it's already got a hole in it right here, so just see if it'll dissolve and see what happens. See if it turns into anything that is remotely drinkable. It's nothing but chunks. I mean, that was to be expected. And they're nice and brown. Vitamin C enriched lemon drink. I'm going to start off on this one by adding just a little bit of steaming hot water. And see if that'll break that down. And I'll just let it sit there and do its thing, and then I'll add some cool water to it maybe after it breaks down. I'm going to give our bouillon back here just a little stir. It's looking pretty good. Really nice and dark. Give it a quick smell. That smells super, super old. Alright, before I set the lemon juice powder off to the side, I'm going to just try to stir it and break it up just a little bit. I don't have much hope for this. I don't think this is going to be even... I don't think I'm going to be able to try it. Not looking good. Set it off to the side over here. Alright, so we can go ahead and get on to trying to taste some of this stuff. And I'm going to start off with the biscuits. One of the most appetizing looking things, in my opinion. And we're going to start off with the K2 biscuit first. And this is a half a biscuit that I have. This is a complete one. I'm going to give this a try, and we'll see what these tasted like. Okay, so the K2, it tastes like a less sweet graham cracker. It does have a strong shortening flavor. It's just lightly sweet, and you can tell I'm having a little bit of trouble talking because my mouth is coated, and it is it's a little bit numb. Is that still consumable? Yes, I believe it is. But I'm going to go ahead and wash that down with our K-Ration coffee, which I'm really looking forward to giving a try here. Down the hatch. Alright, so that's actually quite smooth. It's got a bitter follow-up. Very good still. There's nothing wrong with that coffee at all. I do like my sugar though, so I just wanted to try that plain. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of these blocks of sugar, and I have one that was already partially opened. So we're going to go ahead and use it. And there's you a close look at that sugar. Just nice block of sugar. Probably safely say that I could add 2, but I'm just going to go ahead and add the 1 for now. As far as the box of sugar, it's still fine, but I'm not going to open this box because it is still sealed, and I've already got the block of sugar, so I don't really need this sugar. It's just a cool K-Ration item to check out. If I think it needs it later, I'll go ahead and add another cube of sugar. So the lemon juice powder looks like it's dissolving pretty well. I think it needs more water to be able to dissolve completely, so I'm going to go ahead and add the cool water in. And this is probably going to need sugar if I was to guess. And that's about 6 to 7 ounces of water there now. We'll let it sit there and dissolve a little while longer, and we'll come back to that here in just a little bit. Next, we're going to move on to the K1 Nabisco biscuits or crackers. And I have to assume this one's going to be a little more sweet. It's a little darker, probably a little more shortening. Doesn't have much of a smell now. Just kind of smells old. Alright, here we go. I want to give this a try. Okay, this one right here is definitely a sweeter biscuit. It's more grainy when in the chew. Like, it has definitely a lot larger granule inside the biscuit. It does have a shortening taste, and it is slightly rancid because it's coated my mouth and also made my tongue go slightly numb. Nothing that this old soluble coffee can't cure though. I think this with the sugar will be a lot better than it was without it, so I'm going to give that a try. Now that has like a bitter and kind of a sour follow-up. Sorbic acid, I'm assuming. Definitely a good coffee though, and you can tell that it's really rich with caffeine. That'd definitely give you a nice boost and a good morale boost back then, I'm sure, was having a really nice cup of coffee. And I think that our K-Ration stove has done really well at heating this bouillon here. But before we try the bouillon, I want to move over to these Chocolattos. And I can tell you, these things are absolutely rock hard. I'll get one out of there. And you can see they're kind of stuck in there. And we'll go ahead and try to get one of these opened up, because this parchment paper, it's kind of weird how they're wrapped. Kind of like a double. Okay, that's coming off pretty good there. It's definitely stuck to it pretty good. Got a nice chocolate look to it though. It's more like a hard candy, like a Jolly Rancher now. When I think these things used to be chewy. I personally have never had a regular Chocolatto. I know they still put these in MREs up until I think even in the 2000s. I'm not sure. Heck, they might even still put them in there. I don't know. So Chocolattos has been a thing that's been around in rations for a long time. And this would have been a nice candy item for you to munch on through the day. And I'm probably going to end up having to try a little bit of this paper. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it all off. Okay, there it is. I'm going to give this a shot and see what this is like. That was way better than I thought it was going to be. It still has a nice chocolate taste to it. Hard as a rock. I couldn't chew it up. There is an ingredients list on the bottom here. Chocolate, sugar, corn syrup, cocoa butter, cornstarch, skim milk powder, salt, artificial flavor, and color. Peter Paul Incorporated, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Oakland, California. Net weight, 2 ounces. So, yeah, rock hard. does still have a decent chocolate taste. No ill effects, didn't make my mouth feel weird. The taste wasn't bad or bitter or anything of that nature, so the Chocolattos are a win. Those are actually still probably fully consumable. Okay, so next I guess that brings us to our lemon juice powder that looks absolutely horrid. I don't see any chunks left behind in there though, which is pretty surprising. The color's not as bad as it was. I don't know if you were supposed to add sugar to this or what. This is a vitamin C enriched lemon juice powder, and the ingredients on this are dried pure lemon juice with corn syrup, citric acid, dextrose, ascorbic acid, lemon oil, and tricalcium phosphate. And it also does say on the back right here on the directions, it says to dissolve into a third or 2/3 of a canteen cup, 1 pint, cold water, add sugar, and stir well. So this is definitely meant to have sugar in it. So what we're going to do is go ahead and add our other sugar cube to this. I don't expect anything to be wrong with the sugar cube at all. These things will hold up as long as they don't get wet. And these were stored very well. So there, as you can see, that sugar cube looks absolutely perfect. And I'm just going to try this just on its own real quick. That's just like sugar you just bought at the store. It's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this sugar cube down in the lemon juice powder so that I can try this once it's been sweetened. I don't think this would be much count without sugar. Alright, here we go with the lemon juice powder. I don't know about this. I'm going to try it anyways though. Give it a real quick smell. It smells lightly like a lemon, but it also smells really old still. So here we go. Whoa. Woo! Wow. Holy. That is super sour. That reminds me of like a Sour Patch Kids lemon or something. That's super, super sour, and it's very strong lemon flavor. That's for sure. You would have to put 3 or 4 sugar blocks in that to tame that down a little bit. Now, granted, I did use less water, but I also didn't get all the powder in here, so that is intensely strong. That very strong lemon. But actually, though, you know, considering what it is, it tastes old, but it is probably still drinkable. It's got an off color to it for sure. Maybe it was always a weird color, but we did see that the powder had oxidized and turned brown. Consumable? I think so, yes. Give it another drink even. Just as sour the second time around. It really is kind of like drinking lemon juice out of one of those little lemon shaped the lemon juice. Very strong though. It's not like a lemonade, that's for sure. So moving on next, we're going to try out one of our malted milk dextrose tablets. And I have to think that the brown ones are the malted milk tablets, or those actually could be the malted milk with dextrose. I'm not really sure. And I would have to assume that these things have oxidized as well. We'll take a quick look at both of them. Set these over here, and there you can see one is speckled with brown specks, like a, I'm not really sure, like a robin's egg is speckled. And then here you have one that is just solid brown, and I'm going to assume that this is the malted milk with dextrose and this is the dextrose tablet. So I'm going to start off by trying the malted milk with dextrose and let you know what that tastes like. And that's perfectly good. It's sweet, it's crunchy, it tastes, to me, it actually does taste like it's got some chocolate to it. Slightly a vanilla taste. Tastes like a piece of candy, like the inside of a malted milk ball, but harder than that. After you suck on that for a little while, it does start to break down and soften up. Nothing wrong with that at all. So I'm really interested to see what this one tastes like. Other dextrose tablets that I've had before have been really citrus-like tasting, like very citrus, like an orange. So let's give this one a shot. Wow. So again, with those, they're perfectly consumable. They do taste somewhat like the dextrose tablets that I've had before, except they're not citrus flavored. They just didn't taste like they were flavored much at all. They were sweet, had that kind of vitamin taste that I've tasted before with the dextrose tablets. I couldn't complain about them at all. Very interesting to get to try these and be in such good shape, and definitely still edible. The malted milk, dextrose, and dextrose tablets definitely held up fantastic. Very good. And that leaves us with our beef bouillon, which I'm very interested to try out here. It's very dark. You can see in the spoon there. It's not thick or anything. It kept the viscosity of just regular water. But I'm going to give this a try. Does it still taste like beef? Yeah. It's definitely a beef bouillon. Not a chicken flavor at all. Very salty, but it also has, if you guys know what a really old book smells like, that tastes like that smells, if that makes any sense. That is very hard to describe, but I've never, just old stuff is the only thing that I know that has that weird taste from like a long-term storage in cardboard or something like that that picks up that smell, and it also permeates into the taste. I think that that's probably still fully consumable. I don't see why not. It doesn't taste bad at all. I think you could probably eat this no problem. Again, it's very salty, and I would have to imagine that this would be fantastic on a late night, stuck in a hole somewhere in Germany or wherever they might have been at. Get you some good boiling water with your K-Ration stove, or dig a trench as the fuel tablets suggested, and that would be absolutely fantastic. So we've tried everything else out. Now these old golds right here, Steve 1989, he actually got these for me and gave them to me for my birthday. And I think I'm going to keep these sealed for the time being. I may do a test on these at some point, but for right now, we're going to try the Chelseas that came from his last K-Ration that he opened. And I'm really excited to try these with the pipe tobacco. And they've only got one cigarette out of the package. And get you a good close look at that. There's you a good look. It says Chelsea on there. The paper's still nice and white. Non-filter. Alright, we'll go ahead and give these a try. Back the camera up and we'll get this thing lit. Alright, so here we go, trying out the Chelsea cigarettes from I believe Steve's was a 1943 if I'm not mistaken. So that would make these 74 years old. Going on 75. That's amazing. I'm give them a quick sniff. And they do have a hint of the pipe tobacco smell, but they also have that aged tobacco smell that's kind of a sweet tobacco smell. And if you've ever smelled really nice aged tobacco, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when it has kind of a floral, sweet smell. Alright, we'll go ahead and get this thing lit up. Okay, first impressions are, it seems a little bit dry, but it's really smooth so far. And it doesn't seem to be burning too fast. Now, I can actually tell that it is pipe tobacco. It's got a different taste to it than normal, like Turkish tobacco, Turkish blends like you see in a Camel or something. You guys know that cigarettes came in rations up until 1972. And the military is responsible for handing cigarettes or tobacco and rolling papers out during World War I. And the guys, when they came back, they were used to having tobacco and rolling papers. And they actually started manufacturing cigarettes after World War I, how we know them today, filtered and non-filtered, but machine rolled. So that started after World War I. That was something that that came with, they handed them out tobacco, rolling papers, donuts, and blocks of chocolate. Now, these things were typically used in a emergency situation when they needed to trade for goods or something. They would use the chocolate, the donuts, and tobacco, but the tobacco didn't usually make it. the guys would smoke the cigarettes and tobacco. They started actually handing it out as a ration, tobacco as a ration, in 1917. So in relation, these Chelseas, they're only 30 some years after that, so that's not that long in comparison to how long it is now. 100 years ago, 1917. So this is pretty good. It has a little bit of a heavy draw to it. That almost made me want to cough. Very strong. It's starting to make me a little bit lightheaded. That's definitely a strong cigarette. But yeah, when you think about how old this cigarette is, it's not bad for what it is. I've had better, but I've never had a World War II K-Ration cigarette before, so I don't have anything to compare it to. So it'll be nice to try out those old Golds that also came from a K-Ration sometime and see how they compare to these Chelseas. Stick these in a humidor and keep them good until I try the old Golds. Alright, so we're just about to wrap it up here. Alright guys, well this has been a review of the old K-Ration items and, you know, kind of a thank you to my grandpa and veterans. This has been a cool one to do. As always guys, I want to say thanks to my patrons, and if you guys would like to help support the channel, there's a link to that down below, and I'll put a list of them here at the end. Don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe, and if you subscribe or you're new to my channel, turn on the notifications, and it'll let you know every time I put a new video out. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next ration review. Later. And I've got one more here. Like I said, I think they still owe him a few. But I've got one more here. And this